I'm willing to bet that I was muted for all that. So just to let everybody know, hello, everybody out there joining us on LinkedIn, YouTube, and so forth. This is pre-show starting time where we're just waiting for people to get those alerts, get joined, and so forth. So let me know in chat. Let me know your comments. Say hi. Let me know what you want to talk about today. You can see the agenda that I threw up there today, and we will start at the top of the hour. So about 3 more minutes. Let's give some time for people to join. Maybe somebody will jump on StreamYard. Hopefully we'll see a few comments. So let us know if you're out there on YouTube, LinkedIn, say hello, and we will get started soon. Okay, looks like we're at the top of the hour. So good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another Cutaway Security ICS Friday Infosec chat. And right now we don't have anybody joining us on StreamYard, so it looks like it's just y'all. I did confirm that this is going out. I saw the LinkedIn go out there. I saw I jumped onto the YouTube stream for just a moment. So I know that we're streaming. I know that we've got things going out there, but I'm not seeing anything in the comments section. I don't know if that's internet issues. I don't know if it's communication issues through StreamYard. So if you are commenting, if you're commenting on YouTube, if you're commenting on LinkedIn, it's right now it's not getting to me. So I apologize for that. Hopefully when people start joining, people start jumping on, we'll see some of those comments and I'll be able to respond. Looking forward to it. So when you do jump on, let us know where you're from. Let us know how your week went. Obviously, one of the things that I want to know is I want to know what you're working on this week. I want to talk about things that are relevant to what you're experiencing, answer questions, help people understand that people are having the similar type of experiences that they are, potentially some of the same types of issues and problems and so forth. So Yeah, it's, let us know. We're stronger when we communicate. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to do with this InfoSec chat on Friday. So, okay, well, it's August 26, 2022. This week in Cutaway Security continued on with some of the work that we were doing. Last week, I had mentioned and we talked about how we were getting ready. We were doing some scoping efforts. I was going to be reading up on some of the TSA requirements that organizations have to adhere to. And unfortunately, we got one of the words from our clients that it's that the assessment's not going to go. We're hoping to do that in a couple weeks. But this is the common problem in consulting, information security consulting, and all consultings. When you save a project and you do it at the last minute, meaning that you ask people to scope it and staff it and do the assessment. When you're talking about all of the moving parts around travel and getting people on the phone, coordinating with people's busy schedules, it can be a problem. We have to remember that every one of the team members that has to be within these to support a security assessment or any type of project, you have to remember that they have their normal jobs. Usually projects are added on, unless you're bringing on somebody specifically for that. The people that are going to be providing access, the people that are going to be providing documentation, making themselves available for things like walkthroughs and descriptions and doing interviews and monitoring. If you're going to be putting things on the wire, they're going to have to monitor certain things. They're going to have to monitor that activity, whether it's a physical escort or a digital escort as well. I've had people that have certain certifications that are required to monitor the different things that I'm typing into the computers, gathering information, and so forth. All of those people, they need to be scheduled. These are extra things within their day-to-day normal activity. And what happens is that an organization often gets to these types of security assessment projects. And if it hasn't been scoped properly, if it hasn't been planned, if you don't have the right stakeholders in place to provide information, then once you get up to that assessment, there's going to be surprises. And a lot of times we call it the sliding window of assessment. You're constantly moving those assessments down the calendar. And while that might be okay for an internal team, when you're bringing on third-party personnel, that can be extremely difficult. It also makes it very difficult on those team members, those stakeholders, because they start planning. They start to do things and then they realize that, hey, somebody else isn't ready for this. Now they've got to put all of that stuff on hold. All of the things that they had planned, they planned for, if it was like two weeks from now, now they have to fill that spot. Usually they can, meaning that they just go back to their regular day-to-day. But now they know that they're going to have to do all of those sync ups and so forth down the road as well. So they have to do the repeating effort. Okay, they lost some time up front. Now, certainly that's a part of our scheduling. That's a part of our project management. But this is something that needs to be scoped out properly. And it just comes from experience, understanding and asking the right questions. I've had assessments that have been scheduled by the information security team, the assessment team within an organization. And I've come on site and the operators and the engineers are like, why are you here? Meaning that they redirected the question. They said, do you realize that tomorrow is a holiday and we have all of these other things that we have to get ready for our clients? Not for ourselves, but for our clients. The holiday season's coming up and we have to do these certain things. And so, if you don't coordinate those things, if you don't ask people what's going on, what's the schedule, when you're winter peak times and so forth, you can have this sliding window. It can be really frustrating for all kinds of people. So this has happened to me. I'm not sure if the client didn't relate to us why we have this sliding window. Certainly we're understanding and we're going to move things around. But Yeah, it's something that happened to me this week. So fortunately, I've got some other efforts that I can assist teams with, so I don't have to worry about it too much. But it's just a happy coincidence. Continuing on the SANS ICS 613 development and working on, been working and writing up a lot on process attack categories. Really gone back out and researched a lot of the things that Jason Larson put out. Jason Larson has worked at Idaho National Labs. He used to work at IOActive. He has moved on. I haven't talked to him for a little while, about a year and a half. And I can't remember where he moved on to, but he has put out a lot of information around process attack categories, basically a long list of the different categories and that can happen to a process. So the physical things. Now we know about our common information security techniques and so forth, where we can gain access and have an effect on the technical resources. But if we want to affect a process, if we want to cause some type of event within the process, what are the different types of things that can happen there? And he's outlined a few categories, and I'm leveraging his excellent input around some of the physics stuff to augment the course. And so that's I've been expanding upon that, doing a lot of research. So we'll talk about some of that research in a little while in some of the examples that I want to talk about this week. So I've been doing that. I'm really excited about that. Can't wait for the OT team to review what I've written up, fix some of my mistakes, make some recommendations. I've already gotten some good feedback from a few people's. Michelle provided me some word changes just from a quick outline of how I had the words I selected for a specific slide, and she's already given me some excellent input on how to make some updates around that, and I've done that as well. Also, vulnerability classification criteria. In other words, how to talk about vulnerabilities. If you're doing pen tests, you have to. There's every organization is going to have a slightly different methodology for categorizing, classifying, discussing vulnerabilities and findings and so forth. So understanding the different common techniques is important to facilitate those conversations. And so I outline these, at least a couple of concepts. So I've outlined them and just to ensure that people know how to talk about them, how to break them down, how to talk about, we've done a lot of talking about vulnerability write-ups and so forth. So including that. Trevor, hey, how's it going? Happy. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're joining us. Actually, I'm glad to see your comment in there, just because I didn't know if the YouTube and LinkedIn were having problems. So thanks for saying hi. If you have any questions, let me know. If you see anything on the agenda, if you want to let me know what's going on, or if there's a topic you want to talk about, we can discuss it. Let me know. But hello to you as well, and thanks for joining us. So yeah, I mean, and we're right at that other bullet point. So for those of you that are here, let us know what's going on with you, with your week, what you have planned for the weekend, stuff like that. So awesome, that's good. Good to see you too, Rick. Thank you for joining us. All right, so that was my week at Cutaway. And just interacting, did some things with the ICS Village. Actually, I have a list of tasks that I have to do this weekend to go update their website. So look, if you want to know where ICS Village is going, look out there and look for updates coming this weekend. I know we're going to S4 next year. This year, there's a couple of different events that we're still doing, and I have to make those updates. Like I said, I have to look at the list. That's a good point, though. That first bullet point on the top, under the topics, had that last week, but it was down at the bottom. We started having our conversation, and we never got to it. But the S4 event, so S4 2023, the event that's put on by Digital Bond, hosted by Dale Peterson. He has it scheduled for next year. But the call for papers is up on August 31st. So we've still got about 4 or 5 days. And sometimes these topics will just pop up whenever you're talking to somebody. I had Thomas Van Norman from the Village, from the ICS Village, and I were talking yesterday, and I was like, man, that sounds like a good talk. You should do that, Tom. So hopefully he submits a paper. Hopefully my paper gets accepted, but we'll find out that probably on September 1st. So what do you think of Matter? Do you think Rick, so the question, let's just show the question out there. What do you think of Matter? Do you think industrial IoT will adopt it? Rick, I'm not sure what you mean by Matter. I don't, the reference doesn't pop out to me as far as a technology or a solution or a service. So if you can provide a little bit more clarifying information, I might be able to provide a better opinion. But right now, I'm not even going to pretend. Okay. So getting back to that, submit your paper to the S4. Okay. Let's see. Giving Rick a few minutes, a few seconds to see if there's anything I can help with. All right, until you put it out, let's see. I think that answers the question. Excellent. Okay, the next thing I wanted to talk about, and I've been using this pretty heavily. Actually, I've probably watched more videos than I really should have, but it's a part of my research when I'm talking about. I was discussing how I was writing up the process attack categories, looking for examples, looking for some clarification, and a lot of the different types of physics problems that can occur are outlined by the industry. And a really, really good YouTube channel is the U.S. Chemical Safety and Hazard Investigation Board. So USCSB. And if you go out there, that's obviously I have the link there. There are a slew of animated videos. They do a really good job at production to help people understand the events that led up to an incident. And these date back, back to the 70s. They're animating things that occurred over time in the chemical industry to help people understand the problems. But what they do is they do a really good job of actually outlining the process, doing cutaway diagrams of different components, so that you can see how all of the interactions between the pipes and the valves and the gauges, the user, operator, and field technician interactions. It is, unfortunately, all of them end in some type of catastrophic event. But these catastrophic events are the things that people who understand the process attack categories, when they are the worst case scenarios. Some people would like to label them as nation state actors. I guess still at this point, that would be kind of consistent, because these are people that you need to get people that understand processes and so forth. But the more this information gets out, the more people are going to be able to do these things. And the actual incidents that happen out in the field are going to be similar to the types of things that are going to have impact within our process environments. So I listed 3 different things. So if you go out to the US CSB YouTube channel, you can do a search on their channel for shock to the systems, the explosion at the T2 laboratories, the safety video for reactive hazards, because chemical attacks is a part of that, having a part of the categories, the process attack categories, causing a situation that will result in an increase in temperature, which will affect the chemical process, is an important aspect to consider when you're trying to test for safety within a control network. So that safety video gives 3 good examples of conditions that led to catastrophic failure. Of course, none of these are at this time are IT related. I'm really hoping that at some point they get back, or they can give some examples that are associated with some of the digital technologies. But when you think about a lot of the stuff that's been in the media, it's been associated with ransomware. It's been associated with water and electrical, water facilities, whether it's water treatment or wastewater treatment and utilities. And that is not in the purview for chemicals, right? So we'd have to find some good examples and maybe ask them to come up with some videos around that. But I fully expect to start seeing these type of digital failures that were identified to lead up to some type of event. We should see some of those videos in the future. I just don't have an example of one that we can hope to watch for. So go out, check out those videos. If you're really interested in this stuff, you're going to waste a lot of time there because the animation is really, really well done. And they go to as a part of every one of those videos, they end it with recommendations. What were the recommendations that came out of the review for that accident? And how did it change either that business or that industry? And so it's I think that's an important aspect, especially when we talk about vulnerabilities, when we're talking about information security, and we're talking about all of these problems that can happen. We can learn a lesson from the CSB in that if we're going to point out a problem, we better be able to at least start discussing viable solutions that have a positive impact on that. Hello, Russell. Good to see you. Glad you can join us. Thanks for jumping on YouTube. So let us know if you're, how your week went, if you're working on anything, if you have any questions, man. But it's good to see you again, brother. Okay, so the next one, consequence-driven risk prioritization. So came up with, actually this came out of the ICS 410 class. So I was writing up the vulnerability classifications, trying to think of, when we talk about vulnerabilities, we're always talking about the worst case scenario, which are the consequences. And it's important to realize that when we have findings within a control environment for a security assessment or a penetration test, instead of just thinking about downtime or monetary loss, and so forth, we really need to understand how to explain the potential consequences of that finding. And so I was trying to figure out a way to write that in there and determine whether or not I wanted to write that in there. I looked over at the 410 class, and we do have a slide. And hang on, let's see. I should be able to click over. There we go. So this is one of the slides that we teach in the class. So it's slightly different. I copied and pasted over and removed some details, but this is the consequence-driven prioritization that we have in that class. And I really like this because this helps to prioritize the mitigation of a risk. And when you look at the different levels that we have there, and I'm not going to teach the day or anything like that, just using this to drive the conversation. But when you start thinking about how to address vulnerabilities, so if you get a penetration test or a security assessment with a long list of findings, if you provide a long list of common vulnerability enumeration numbers associated with the technology, so CVEs, if you give a long list, now you have to that organization, that team, they're going to take those recommendations and they're going to have to start thinking about mitigations. What are they going to do? Are they going to do workarounds? Are they going to patch? Are they going to change their processes, update their policies? How are they going to address that? Really, if you think about the risk management process within a control environment. They're used to understanding risk. They're used to getting influxes of information, and they typically have a process to address that. But when we think about the prioritization of those efforts, are we going to accept the risk as input within the report? In other words, if I write a high risk finding, you know, somebody might read over, or the team might read over that and realize that I didn't have some information about it, or as a part of the process, I didn't have, they can manage, reduce that risk, take it from a high rating down to a low rating because of some of the compensating controls I wasn't privy of, or a quick change. But that happens in every security assessment when you pass off a report. Okay. However, in control environments, we need to prioritize the efforts if we're going to take action. So a lot of organizations will potentially leverage this consequence-driven risk prioritization method. And I'm not sure where this came from. I did some research and I tried to find the reference to it. So I'm not sure where Justin got that. And so we're trying to track it down right now. But I think this makes a lot of sense for that prioritization, meaning that if we're going to have vulnerabilities, let's just take as an example a vulnerability in a controller. And a controller is going to be found in multiple areas within our organization. In other words, we have got a large plant. Okay. Do we update them all at the same time? Well, that's extremely difficult. So how do we prioritize? Well, this example right here goes with different levels to help us with that prioritization. So let's just kind of assume that we have controllers that help us with safety. The same controller helps us with safety, our normal control loops as a part of our supervisory, and all the way down to some of our auxiliary services. Okay, so if we're going to assign teams to do updates, we really should be thinking about those controllers that are being used in the level 0, that level 0 layer, meaning that, not layer, I'm mixing the streams. So that level 0 that we have right there, the safety and emergency and action shutdown areas. Okay, those are extremely important. Deal with safety. We should probably want to address those first. Actually, it's probably going to take a little bit longer. We're going to probably have a mitigation plan around that, but we should be prioritizing our efforts, especially if this is a vulnerability we're really concerned about within those areas. And then we're going to work down. We're going to prioritize each one of those levels and make it manageable within our plant for doing these updates. Okay, so I started thinking about all this, and I'm thinking about how to work this into the penetration testing class, meaning that if we're going to teach people how to understand risk, rate risk, and write up findings associated with that penetration test, that a security assessment, then we need to, I was thinking that we need to include this information so that we can help them understand, those students understand the consequence-driven prioritization associated with that. And then I realized that no, I don't need. We don't necessarily need the penetration testers to understand that, because the job of a penetration tester, the security assessment team, their job is to gain actionable intelligence for the process engineers, for the risk management team. So it would be the process engineers and some other stakeholders that are associated with the risk management team. And so, they are definitely, so those are the teams that are going to use the actionable intelligence that's coming out of the report for our prioritization. But the analyst that's writing up that report shouldn't necessarily say, okay, this is prioritized over the other one, outside of giving those rankings of critical high associated with their normal risk ratings. So I see Trevor saying levels 0 through C. So Trevor, you're saying that you'd prioritize those, or those are generally the same devices. So what I think Trevor's saying is, Trevor's comment, for those of you that can't see it, on LinkedIn, is that levels 0, 1, and 2, and also 3 are typically managed by the same device, not meaning that there will be a common PLC. There will actually be the same physical device. I believe that's what you're saying. Is that correct, Trevor? And we'll just wait for his comment to make sure that we're correct on that. Yeah, typically not separate functions. Yeah, so it's everything. I appreciate your comment, Trevor. And that goes to people that need to be flexible. None of this stuff, especially in control environments, is set in stone. Actually, you could have one organization, one plant. They'll have all of these separated out very neatly, but then you go to another plant in the same organization, different state or something like that, and they've got a completely different setup, different way that they've managed it. Whether it's it was built at the plant was built at a different time by different people, by different vendors, and that's the great thing about industrial and controls is the variety of situations with all of the same equipment, and so your experiences go a long way, and you'll always be interested. So, Trevor, I appreciate your comment on that. Yeah, it's extremely helpful. So let's go back. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm not trying to, basically I'm just using that to drive some of the conversation and give you some insight into some of the processes, some of the things that I'm experiencing during my week. Let's see. Other than that, yeah, I go out and check out those videos and I imagine I'm going to find another one before we cut loose for the day and watch that through it. I'm finding myself just sitting down, reading my book periodically, and then looking over, hey, is there another video out there on the YouTube channel that I haven't checked out yet? I'm slowly going through. I actually subscribed and I'm getting alerts. I think that's the only YouTube channel where I'm getting alerts for new content, and I'm really looking forward to it. Other than that, that was my week here at Cutaway Security. There's a bunch of other stuff that's going on in the news. I was reading over some of the stuff that came out on Dale Peterson's from Digital Bond, his a weekly newsletter. So if you haven't subscribed to Dale's a newsletter, I would recommend that you do that. He cherry picks some of the news that he wants to talk about, but certainly that it's some of the more relevant, especially from an executive level, some of the more relevant things that are going on right now. So much other stuff going on in the world. We don't have time to talk about it today, but I really appreciate everybody showing up. Trevor, Russell, Rick, thanks for joining us. Everybody else Wes isn't here, so he's probably busy. I can't wait to see you guys next week. Join me on stream, on the StreamYard if you want to jump on here and talk about your week next week. I'll be happy to hear from you. But other than that, hey, another successful edition of the Cutaway Security ICS Friday Infosec chat. Everybody have a great weekend and take care of yourself, and we'll talk to you soon.